What's going on, guys? Rhyme Teacher in the house, and I'm here with a different sort of video, somewhat of an experimental type video this time round, where I attempt to answer the question, what if I was in a certain generation? What if I was a character in the games? So I thought I'd do this as a little bit of fun in between the downtimes where the GPL isn't here, and various things like that, as the GPL season is almost over. So I thought I'd start from Gen 1 and then try and work my way through to Gen 8. So if you guys like this kind of video and you want to see more of those, feel free to let me know by commenting or liking. Or definitely hit me up on Discord or Twitter. If you want more of this kind of thing, let me know. But let's start in with Generation 1. Because I think in Generation 1, there's a really cool opportunity here that could have been here from the beginning that actually appeared in Let's Go. Which was kind of interesting with the introduction of Green. So let's talk about like what kind of trainer would I be, what type I'd have, and what sort of Pokemon I would use. Honestly, when you play through Generation 1, there's kind of one area of the game that kind of had that perfect missed opportunity, and that's actually in Cerulean Cave. Now, of course, Cerulean Cave is only accessible in the post-game after you become the champion, and it is where you can capture Mewtwo. And it's the only instance where that actually happens, except for later Kanto remakes, of course. But in Generation 1, the only thing that was really there was Mewtwo. Like, there was a bunch of high-level Pokemon in there and some really cool stuff, but Mewtwo was kind of like the highlight and the end point of that particular bit of post-game, and there wasn't really that much there. Now, in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, of course, we had Green, who fights you after you capture Mewtwo or you battle Mewtwo in the games. So I thought, why was this not in Generation 1? So that's the kind of trainer that I'm gonna be. So I'm essentially gonna be like the elite final boss type trainer, much like Red from Generation 2, and we're gonna work from there. So after thinking about that, I kind of decided what sort of type I wanted to be, based on really what I felt like was a missed opportunity for a potential Elite Four, potential champion, or even just like the last gym leader. As much as I actually really liked Giovanni being the ground type gym leader, I actually thought his gym leader was fine. But I decided to take on the most powerful type in the game that actually wasn't picked up, which is actually the normal type. Now, normal as a typing in Gen 1 was always powerful due to a lot of different things. With no physical special split, normal being physical, meaning moves like Hyper Beam, which was 150 base power, really packed a massive punch from a lot of these normal types that have very high physical attack stats. You'll see that with a couple of the Pokemon that will actually be on my team. Alongside that, a lot of normal types have very wide move pools, which allows them to actually hit the Pokemon that they can't otherwise manage to hit. Things like the Gengar being a ghost type, which normal does not affect. Things like the fighting types, where Pokemon can get coverage moves, who's like flying moves and psychic moves to hit those fighting types. And alongside that, there is a very wide profile of Pokemon, from really fast, hard-hitting Pokemon, really bulky Pokemon. There's a very wide range of Pokemon that you can choose from, so actually choosing 6 was kind of difficult to do. It is worth pointing out that all of these trainers that I will put in will have 6 Pokemon as included. They may have less depending on where I put them, but the vast majority will have 6 Pokemon. So in the instance of normal, the other main reason why it's so powerful is because of the speed tiers and the crit mechanics, the way it works. The faster the Pokemon, the higher the crit chance it has. So we'll talk about crit chances with some of these mons as we get through. Alongside that, crits ignore stat boosts in this gen. They also ignore moves like Reflect, which is different in Gen 1 to how we know of Reflect today. It doesn't set up the screen in the same way, but we'll talk about that as and when we get to it. But yeah, crits were very, very powerful in Gen 1. They definitely cause a lot of problems and a lot of imbalance, but we're going to go ahead and abuse that with a lot of what we're picking. So, the first Pokemon on our team is actually going to be a very interesting pick, because it is actually going to be the normal flying type that's often overlooked, and that's going to be Dodrio. Dodrio is one of the fastest flying types in the game. There's only a couple of Pokemon that are faster, Aerodactyl being the only one that is absolutely faster. It's same speed tier as Pharaoh, but I didn't really like Pharaoh as much because Pharaoh's actual attack stat is lower. But Dodrio's crit chance is actually exceptionally high. It's just under 20%, 19.53% crit chance, which is absolutely ridiculous. It does also have very reliable stab moves in Drill Peck, which is not a 2-turn move unlike Fly and Sky Attack. Body Slam, of course, with that 30% paralysis chance, also being stab boosted with a high crit chance, does a hell of a lot of damage. Hyper Beam, of course, we talked about that 150 base power is a really strong finishing move, and Double Team is kind of obnoxious because it allows you not to get hit. Dodrio, as you can see by its stats, defensively, not really that strong, is very frail, does get hit pretty easily. This Pokemon doesn't really hit mons like Rhydon or anything like that, or Golem, but it can still hit the Gengar thanks to Drill Peck, which is fine. It does do decent damage to a lot of the staple mons in the game, which is exactly why this is. This is probably going to be the lead pretty much every time because not many people are going to be set up for it. It's going to be really obnoxious, and it is quite hard to switch into because it can just crit you in the face and do a hell of a lot of damage. The next Pokemon we're going to talk about is Snorlax, probably everyone's favorite normal type from Gen 1, and rightly so, but in this particular instance it's kind of an unusual one, because as you see on the set, Body Slam is going to be staple on a lot of these Pokemon, because Body Slam is a very good normal move in Gen 1. That 30% paralysis chance, especially working with the crit mechanics, is incredibly important. Now, Reflect works very differently. In this generation, Reflect is not a screen that ups defense for your whole team. It is purely just for the Pokemon using it, where it doubles the defense for its duration, and various things like that. Now, Snorlax has very solid bulk anyway, mostly due to that HP stat, but Reflect is kind of important because it means the fighting type Pokemon, which are also physical, really don't touch Snorlax all that well. Rest is also very nice because it allows you to fully recover and take away any status. Poison is kind of commonplace, especially toxic in this generation. And Earthquake is a very important step here because otherwise Gengar freely switches in on this. Earthquake allows you to hit things like the Rhydon and the Golems and the Gengars of this world, which were actually very strong in the early generations. So Earthquake gives you that coverage that you need to be able to hit them. Again, this one doesn't necessarily touch a couple of things. It doesn't touch Exeggutor all that well unless it paralyzes it and stuff like that. But again, we have Dodrio that answers Exeggutor very well. We also have a couple of other Pokemon that really do answer Exeggutor exceptionally well in the game as well. But yeah, Snorlax, everybody's favorite staple, had to be on the team as an elite trainer. The next Pokemon on the team is going to be one that everybody loves to hate, and it always seems to be here, is Chansey, of course. Now, Chansey is a very interesting Pokemon because it has an awful lot of utility. It has Reflect, of course, raising that defense, which does patch up the one weakness that it really has, which is that garbage physical defense. Softboard, of course, is amazing recovery. It's better than Rest because you can actually still continue attacking it as long as you don't get sleep. Thunder Wave is really obnoxious because it allows you to really cripple the fast Pokemon, like the Tauroses, the Persians, things like Starmie that are fast. Dugtrio can get paralyzed in this gen because ground types weren't immune to Thunder Wave. So yeah, there's a lot of cool things out there. It cripples the fast Pokemon that otherwise really do hurt this Pokemon a lot. And Seismic Toss is also interesting because in the early generations, Seismic Toss could actually still hit the ghost types like Gengar. So Seismic Toss does 100 damage to every single Pokemon in, assuming of course you're level 100, which I think I might do that for this trainer, have them at level 100s throughout the whole game as beat like this epic final boss, which would be really cool to play against and stuff like that. But yeah, Seismic Toss is definitely the most reliable damage it gets. Thunder Wave, Reflect, Softboard, really strong utility and can really cripple anybody that does not expect this to come. Next up, speaking of bulky Pokemon that people love to hate, is going to be Clefable, of course. Never seems to go anywhere. In every generation, it always seems to be really good. But yeah, we have Thunder Wave, of course, again. That paralysis really is a massive effect on any team that we had in Generation 1. Blizzard is nice as it allows you to hit the ground types like the Golem and the Rhydon, as well as Exeggutor relatively hard. Body Slam, of course, the stab move of choice as it is that paralysis chance. Not the most reliable, but 30% is still 30%. And Thunderbolt is nice because it's one of the few answers that we have really for things like Starmie and Slowbro, which really strong water types in the early generations, and Cloyster as well, really, really popular. So Thunderbolt gives you a good amount of options to hit those mons. It does also give you paralysis chance as well, which is nice. Paralysis on Clefable is really annoying. Obviously, Clefable is better on the special side, so you don't really get the best benefit out of the normal typing, but as we talked about with wide move pools, Clefable's got one of the widest move pools in the early generations, so you can actually run a lot of different moves. It does get Fire Blast as well if you want to hit Exeggutor that little bit harder, without necessarily missing as much as Blizzard, but you still have a lot of options there. Fire Blast is scary, but I felt like Blizzard was nicer as it hits more things, but yeah. Clefable, really annoying, decent amount of bulk, and actually relatively good offensively as well. But now we come on to the big boys, the reason why I love the normal typing in this generation. The first one being the biggest late game cleaner in the game in my opinion in Persian. Persian is actually deceptively scary. And the reason why is that 115 base speed puts it at an insanely high 22.46% crit ratio, which is disgusting when you pair that up with Slash, which is only 70 base power in this gen, but it is actually a high crit ratio move. So combine that with the speed, the high crit ratio actually buffs that quite considerably. You are doing an awful lot of damage with just Slash alone, even to things like Rhydon that resist it. Bubble Beam is also very nice because it allows you to hit things like the Rhydon and the Golem that generally wall it relatively well. Thunderbolt is there, of course, for Starmie and Slowbro and Cloyster, as expected. And Hyper Beam is that late game finishing move. When you need that tiny little bit more damage, Hyper Beam is there to help you finish the game. But most of the time, you're probably clicking the first 3 moves if you're clicking anything, especially that Slash. This thing does a lot of damage, and anything that is weakened really does not want to take this on. But the last and the most important member and the ace of my team is going to be Gen 1's best Pokemon in my opinion, which is Tauros. Tauros, not quite as fast as Persian, slightly slower, but still a 21.48% crit ratio, which is disgusting. Does a hell of a lot of work here. Body Slam, of course, paralysis never goes away. Body Slam, Hyper Beam, the stabs of choice. Earthquake is very nice because it allows you to hit quite a lot of things, especially Gengar, which otherwise walls Tauros. So Earthquake has a place in here. Blizzard is nice for Exeggutor, but you can drop this for Fire Blast if you would like. I like Blizzard quite a little bit in Gen 1. I think Blizzard is also nice for things like Dragonite, whereas there's not many things that hit dragons for super effective damage. So Blizzard is the kind of special move of choice. Obviously that special stat is not really that impressive, but you can still use it to good effect. It does still have that crit chance because of the speed tier. So it is a very, very solid Pokemon in general. A mon that I would definitely appreciate using on the team, and I think a very, very fitting ace to have on a normal type boss trainer. So that's going to be my normal team. If you think I've missed a Pokemon and you would replace a Pokemon, feel free to let me know. I did have a hard time fitting things. I was considering things like Ditto and Kangaskhan, but I opted for these 6 as I think these 6 are probably the better choice overall, especially for a boss Pokemon. But let me know if you like this. Let me know if you want to do me to do more of these down below. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to get on out of it now. My name is Rybombi Teacher. I'm your coach of the Royal Bomber for Bombies. Stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.